Alex Chen looked at the clock on his phone. He was already 10 minutes late for work. His boss at the computer repair shop did not like when workers came late. Alex pressed the gas pedal a little harder on his old Honda Civic. The car made strange noises, but it still ran. That was all that mattered. The traffic light turned red just as Alex reached the intersection. He stopped and waited. Behind him, a police car pulled up. Alex looked in his mirror and saw the officer inside. The man looked angry about something. Alex hoped the light would turn green soon. When the light changed, Alex drove carefully through the intersection. He made sure to stay exactly at the speed limit. His mom always told him to be extra careful when police were around. She said some officers looked for any reason to stop young people like him. Alex had only driven 2 more blocks when he saw the flashing red and blue lights behind him. His heart started beating fast. He pulled over to the side of the road and turned off his car. He put both hands on the steering wheel where the officer could see them. Officer Marcus Rivera got out of his patrol car. He was a big man with angry eyes. He walked slowly toward Alex's car, his hand resting on his gun. Alex tried to stay calm, but his hands were shaking a little. "License and registration," Rivera said in a harsh voice. He did not say hello or explain why he stopped Alex. "Yes, sir," Alex said politely. He reached for his glove box very slowly. He did not want to make any sudden moves. Rivera watched him closely, like Alex might try to run away or fight. Alex handed over his documents. Rivera looked at them for a long time. Then he looked at Alex with disgust. "Alex Chen," Rivera said, reading the name. "What are you doing in this neighborhood, kid?" "I'm driving to work, sir," Alex answered. "I work at TechFix on Main Street." Rivera laughed, but it was not a nice laugh. "Work? Yeah, right. What did you really steal this car for?" Alex felt confused and scared. "This is my car, sir. I bought it with money from my job." "Your job?" Rivera looked at the old Honda with its dented bumper and scratched paint. "What kind of job pays for a car like this? Drug dealing?" "No, sir," Alex said quickly. "I fix computers. I save all my money to help my mom with bills." Rivera did not believe him. Alex could see it in his eyes. The officer looked at Alex like he was lying about everything. "Get out of the car," Rivera ordered. Alex did not understand why, but he obeyed. He stepped out slowly and stood next to his car. Rivera was much taller than him. Alex felt very small. "Turn around and put your hands on the car," Rivera said. Alex did what he was told. Rivera searched his pockets roughly. Alex had only his phone, his wallet, and some change for lunch. Rivera looked disappointed that he did not find anything illegal. "I'm going to search your car," Rivera announced. "Do you need a warrant for that?" Alex asked. He remembered learning about rights in his government class. Rivera's face turned red with anger. "Are you trying to tell me how to do my job, punk? You got something to hide?" "No, sir. I just thought—" "You thought wrong," Rivera cut him off. "I have the right to search if I think you're hiding something. And a kid like you is always hiding something." Alex did not know what to say. He knew Rivera was wrong, but he was scared to argue with a police officer. Rivera opened all the car doors and started searching. He threw Alex's textbooks on the ground. He dumped out a box of computer parts that Alex used for repairs. Old hard drives, cables, and circuit boards scattered on the sidewalk. "What's all this junk?" Rivera demanded. "Those are computer parts," Alex explained. "I use them to fix computers at work and for school projects." Rivera picked up a circuit board and looked at it suspiciously. "This looks like drug equipment to me." Alex could not believe what he was hearing. "It's just a motherboard, sir. For computers. Don't lie to me," Rivera snapped. He continued searching the car. He looked under the seats and in the trunk. He found Alex's backpack with his school books and homework. Rivera pulled out Alex's programming textbook. The cover showed code and computer graphics. Rivera flipped through it and frowned. "Hacking manual," Rivera said with a mean smile. "It's for my computer science class," Alex protested. "I'm learning to program." "Programming, hacking, same thing," Rivera said. "You probably use this stuff to steal credit card numbers." Alex felt frustrated and scared. Nothing he said seemed to matter. Rivera had already decided Alex was a criminal. Rivera wrote several tickets. Alex could see him writing fast like he was enjoying it. When he finished, he handed Alex a stack of papers. "Speeding, reckless driving, and suspicious activity," Rivera read from his list. "That's $500 in fines." Alex looked at the tickets in shock. "But I wasn't speeding." I was going exactly the speed limit. My radar says different, Rivera lied. Alex knew the officer had not used any radar. And what suspicious activity? Alex asked. Rivera stepped closer to Alex. His voice became mean and quiet. Listen, kid. I know your type. You think you're smart with your computer books and your attitude, but you're just another punk who will end up in jail or dead in a ditch. Alex felt tears starting in his eyes, but he did not let them fall. You come from a broken home, right? Rivera continued. No dad around. Mom working multiple jobs and too tired to watch you. I see kids like you every day. You all end up the same way. Alex thought about his mom. She worked so hard to give him a good life. She cleaned offices at night and worked at a grocery store during the day. She was tired, but she always helped him with homework and encouraged his dreams. My mom is a good person, Alex said quietly. Rivera laughed. Sure she is. That's why her son is out here dealing drugs and stealing cars. I'm not dealing drugs, Alex said, his voice stronger now. I'm a good student. I have a 3.8 GPA. I want to study computer science in college. College? Rivera acted like this was the funniest thing he had ever heard. Kids like you don't go to college. You go to prison. Mark my words, I'll be arresting you for something serious real soon. Rivera walked back to his patrol car. Before getting in, he turned to Alex one more time. Clean up this mess, he said, pointing to the computer parts still scattered on the ground. And Alex, I'll be watching you. Any time I see you driving around, I'll find a reason to stop you. Better get used to it. Rivera drove away, leaving Alex alone on the sidewalk. Alex knelt down and started picking up his computer parts. Some of them were broken from being thrown on the concrete. These parts cost money that his family did not have extra of. Alex was now 30 minutes late for work. He called his boss to explain what happened. Mr. Peterson was understanding, but Alex could hear the worry in his voice. The shop needed workers who showed up on time. As Alex drove the rest of the way to work, he thought about what Rivera had said. The officer did not know anything about Alex or his family. Rivera had judged him based on how he looked and what kind of car he drove. Alex parked behind the computer shop and sat in his car for a moment. His hands were still shaking from the encounter. He had never been treated so badly by anyone, especially not by someone who was supposed to protect people. But Rivera was wrong about everything. Alex was not a criminal. He was not going to end up in jail. He had plans and dreams. He wanted to use computers to help people and maybe start his own business someday. Alex got out of his car and walked into Tech Fix. He had work to do, computers to fix, money to earn for his family. He would not let Officer Rivera's words stop him from building his future. But as Alex started working on his first repair of the day, he could not stop thinking about the encounter. Rivera had threatened to keep harassing him. Alex wondered if this was just the beginning of his problems with this angry police officer. Alex did not know it yet, but his life was about to change in ways he never expected. The encounter with Rivera would lead him down a path that would test his skills, his courage, and his determination to fight for what was right. 3 days after the first encounter, Alex was driving home from school when he saw the familiar police car in his rearview mirror. His stomach dropped. Officer Rivera was following him again. Alex made sure to drive exactly at the speed limit. He used his turn signals for every turn. He stopped completely at every stop sign. But none of it mattered. The red and blue lights started flashing behind him. Alex pulled over on a quiet residential street. Rivera took his time getting out of the patrol car. Alex could see him writing something on his notepad before he even approached the vehicle. Well, Rivera said as he walked up to Alex's window. If it isn't my favorite young criminal. Good afternoon, Officer Rivera, Alex said politely. He kept his hands visible on the steering wheel. License and registration, Rivera demanded, even though he had seen Alex's documents just 3 days earlier. Alex handed them over without arguing. Rivera pretended to study them carefully, as if he did not already know who Alex was. You are following too close to the car in front of you, Rivera announced. Alex was confused. There had been no car in front of him for the last 2 blocks. I don't think there was anyone. Are you calling me a liar? Rivera's voice became dangerous. No, sir. I just don't remember seeing another car. Rivera wrote another ticket. This time it was for tailgating and failure to maintain safe distance. Another $250. I'll be seeing you again real soon, Rivera promised as he handed Alex the ticket. Alex drove home feeling sick to his stomach. When he walked into his family's small apartment, his mother was at the kitchen table paying bills. She looked up and smiled, but Alex could see how tired she was. "How was school today, mijo?" she asked in Spanish. His mother always spoke Spanish when she was tired or stressed. "It was okay, Mom," Alex lied. He did not want to worry her about the police officer. The first set of tickets had already caused enough stress, but Alex's mother was smart. She noticed when her son was upset. "What's wrong? You look sad." Alex sat down next to her. "The same police officer stopped me again today." His mother's face filled with worry. "Again? What did you do?" "Nothing, Mom, I promise. He said I was following another car too closely, but there was no other car." His mother looked at the new ticket Alex showed her. Her shoulders sagged when she saw the amount. Between the first tickets and this new one, they now owed $750 in fines. "We can't afford this," she whispered. Alex felt terrible. His mother worked 16 hours a day, cleaning offices and stocking shelves at the grocery store. Every dollar mattered in their household. This money should have gone to rent and food, not to unfair police tickets. "I'm sorry, Mom," Alex said. "I'll work extra hours at the computer shop. I'll pay for all of it." His mother hugged him. "This is not your fault, mijo. Some people in this world are not fair, but we will get through this together." The next week, Rivera stopped Alex 2 more times. Once for suspicious driving patterns when Alex took a different route home to avoid construction. Another time for having a dirty license plate even though Alex had cleaned his car the day before. Each stop followed the same pattern. Rivera would act like he had caught Alex doing something terrible. He would search the car and find nothing illegal. Then he would write tickets for minor violations that were either completely made up or extremely unfair. Alex started keeping a notebook in his backpack. After each encounter with Rivera, he would write down everything that happened. The time, the location, what Rivera said, and what tickets he gave. Alex's computer science teacher had taught the class about the importance of documenting everything when working on complex problems. By the 3rd week, Alex had been stopped 8 times. The fines now totaled over $1,500. His mother had to ask her sister for money to help pay rent. Alex saw how this stressed her out, and it made him angry. Other students at school started noticing that Alex was being targeted. Word spread that Officer Rivera was harassing the quiet kid who was good with computers. Some students felt sorry for Alex. Others stayed away from him, worried that being his friend might get them in trouble too. Alex's grades began to suffer. He spent so much time dealing with court dates and trying to work extra hours that he had less time for homework. His teacher, Mrs. Williams, noticed that his programming assignments were late. "Alex, you're one of my best students," she said after class one day. "Is everything okay at home?" Alex told her about Officer Rivera. Mrs. Williams listened with growing concern. "Have you filed a complaint with the police department?" she asked. "My mom called once," Alex said. "They told her that Officer Rivera was just doing his job. They said if I wasn't doing anything wrong, I wouldn't keep getting stopped." Mrs. Williams shook her head sadly. "That's not right, Alex. Police officers are supposed to protect everyone fairly." "What can I do?" Alex asked. "No one believes a teenager over a police officer. Keep documenting everything," Mrs. Williams advised. "And don't give up on your dreams. You're too smart and talented to let one bad person ruin your future." Alex took her advice seriously. He started documenting even more details about each encounter. He noted what Rivera was wearing, what time it was, and even what the weather was like. He also started researching his rights as a citizen. Late at night, when his mother was at her cleaning job, Alex would use the family's old computer to read about police procedures and civil rights. He learned that many of the things Rivera was doing were probably illegal. But knowing his rights and proving that Rivera was abusing them were 2 different things. Rivera seemed to enjoy the game he was playing. Each time he stopped Alex, he became more creative with his accusations and more cruel with his words. "Still think you're going to college?" Rivera taunted during one stop. "With all these tickets on your record, no school will want you." "I'm going to fight these tickets in court," Alex said, trying to sound braver than he felt. Rivera laughed. "Go ahead, kid. It's your word against mine. Who do you think the judge will believe?" Alex realized that Rivera was right about one thing. In court, it would be a teenager's word against a police officer's word. Without proof that Rivera was lying, Alex would lose every time. But Alex had something that Rivera did not know about. Alex was not just good with computers, he was exceptional. He had been programming since he was 12 years old. He understood networks, databases, and digital security better than most adults. As Alex drove home from his latest encounter with Rivera, an idea began forming in his mind. If Rivera wanted to play games, maybe it was time for Alex to start playing too. But Alex's game would be different. Alex's game would be about finding the truth. That night, Alex sat at his computer and started researching Officer Marcus Rivera. Not to do anything illegal, but to understand who he was dealing with. Alex began with simple internet searches and public records. What he found surprised him. Rivera had only been a police officer for 3 years. Before that, he had worked at several different jobs and had been fired from 2 of them for anger management issues. There were also several complaints against him filed by other citizens, though none had resulted in any punishment. Alex dug deeper into public databases and social media. He found Rivera's Facebook page, his Twitter account, and even his LinkedIn profile. Rivera posted a lot about his expensive hobbies, a new motorcycle, expensive clothes, and frequent trips to casinos. Alex did some quick math. Rivera's police salary was public information. Even with overtime, he should not have been able to afford the lifestyle he was showing off on social media. Where was the extra money coming from? Alex felt excited for the first time in weeks. This was like solving a complex programming problem, except the stakes were much higher. If Rivera was getting money from somewhere else, and if that money was connected to his police work, then Rivera might be doing something illegal. Alex knew he had to be very careful. He could not hack into anything or break any laws. But there was a lot of information available to the public if someone knew where to look and how to analyze it. As Alex worked late into the night, he felt something he had not felt since Rivera first stopped him. He felt hope. Maybe there was a way to fight back after all. Alex saved his research to a secure folder on his computer. Tomorrow he would continue investigating. He would find out what Officer Rivera was really hiding. And when he did, Alex would make sure that Rivera could never bully another innocent teenager again. The quiet computer science student was about to become something Rivera never expected. A formidable opponent who could fight back with intelligence, determination, and skills that Rivera could not even imagine. But Alex knew this was just the beginning. If he was going to take on a corrupt police officer, he needed to be smarter than he had ever been before. One mistake could ruin everything. The stakes were too high to fail. Alex was walking out of Lincoln High School on a Tuesday afternoon when he saw the police car parked right in front of the main entrance. Officer Rivera was leaning against his patrol car, watching students as they left school. When he saw Alex, Rivera smiled in a way that made Alex's skin crawl. Alex tried to walk to the side exit, but Rivera called out loudly, "Alex Chen, come here now." Every student within 50 feet turned to look. Alex felt his face turn red with embarrassment. He had no choice but to walk over to Rivera, who was clearly enjoying the attention. "Turn around and put your hands on the car," Rivera ordered, in a voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "What did I do?" Alex asked quietly, hoping Rivera would lower his voice. "Don't question me," Rivera snapped. "Just do what I tell you." Alex could see his classmates gathering around, pulling out their phones to record what was happening. Some looked scared for him. Others seemed excited to watch drama unfold. Alex felt humiliated as he placed his hands on the police car. Rivera began searching Alex's backpack roughly. He pulled out Alex's textbooks and threw them on the ground. Students gasped as Rivera dumped out Alex's lunch and scattered his homework papers across the sidewalk. "What's this?" Rivera said loudly, holding up Alex's advanced programming textbook. "It's my computer science book," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Computer science?" Rivera announced to the crowd. "You mean hacking? This kid's learning how to break into computer systems and steal people's information." "That's not true," Alex protested, but his voice was drowned out by Rivera's loud accusations. Rivera opened the textbook and pointed to a page showing code examples. "Look at this. This is clearly criminal activity. This boy is learning how to commit cybercrimes." Alex felt desperate. "It's just Python programming. It's a normal computer class. Ask any teacher here." But Rivera was not interested in the truth. He was putting on a show for the students, and Alex was his unwilling performer. I should arrest you right now for possessing criminal materials, Rivera announced. Several students gasped. Alex could see some of them backing away, as if being near him might get them in trouble too. Mrs. Williams, Alex's computer science teacher, was walking to her car when she heard the commotion. She hurried over to see what was happening. "Officer, what seems to be the problem?" she asked politely but firmly. Rivera looked annoyed that a teacher was interfering with his show. This student was carrying suspicious materials, books about computer hacking. Mrs. Williams looked at the textbook in Rivera's hands. "That's a standard programming textbook. I assigned it to my students. Alex is one of my best pupils. Ma'am, I think I know criminal materials when I see them," Rivera said rudely. "Maybe you should be more careful about what you're teaching these kids." Mrs. Williams's face flushed with anger. "I have been teaching computer science for 15 years. There is nothing criminal about learning to program computers." Rivera ignored her and continued his search of Alex's backpack. He found Alex's notebook where Alex had been documenting all their encounters. Rivera flipped through it, reading Alex's careful notes about times, locations, and ticket amounts. "What's this?" Rivera demanded, his voice becoming dangerous. "You keeping track of me, boy?" Alex's heart was beating so fast he could barely speak. I was just writing down what happened. Looks like stalking to me," Rivera announced to the crowd. "This kid's been following me around, taking notes about my activities." "That's illegal surveillance." Mrs. Williams stepped closer. "Officer Rivera, a citizen has every right to document their interactions with police." Rivera's face turned red with anger. "Are you telling me how to do my job, lady?" "I'm telling you that you're harassing one of my students," Mrs. Williams said bravely. Rivera stepped toward Mrs. Williams in a threatening way. "Maybe I should write you a ticket for interfering with police business." Alex could not stand seeing his teacher threatened because of him. "Please," he said loudly, "just leave her alone. She didn't do anything." Rivera turned back to Alex with a cruel smile. "Oh, so now you're telling me what to do. I think a night in juvenile detention might teach you some respect." Alex felt panic rising in his chest. Rivera was seriously talking about arresting him in front of all his classmates. For what? For carrying textbooks and taking notes? "You can't arrest me," Alex said, his voice shaking. "I haven't done anything illegal." "Suspicious behavior, interfering with an officer, and possession of materials used for criminal activity," Rivera rattled off. "That's 3 charges right there." The crowd of students had grown larger. Alex could see some of his friends in the group looking scared and confused. He could also see students he barely knew, filming everything with their phones. This was exactly what Rivera wanted. He wanted to humiliate Alex in front of the entire school. He wanted to destroy Alex's reputation and make other students afraid to be around him. "Please," Alex said quietly. "I have to get home to help my mom. She needs me to—" "Your mom?" Rivera laughed loudly. "Let me guess. Single mother, works multiple jobs, too busy to keep track of what her son is really doing?" Alex felt tears starting in his eyes. Rivera was talking about his mother like she was a bad person, when she was the hardest working person Alex knew. "My mother is a good person," Alex said, his voice getting stronger despite his fear. "Sure she is," Rivera mocked. "That's why her son is out here learning how to be a cyber criminal. I bet she has no idea what you're really up to." That was too much for Alex. His mother sacrificed everything for him. She worked herself to exhaustion to give him opportunities. She believed in his dreams when no one else did. "Don't talk about my mother," Alex said, standing up straighter. Rivera stepped closer to Alex, invading his personal space. "Or what, you going to hack my computer? Going to use your little programming skills to get revenge?" "I'm not going to do anything illegal," Alex said firmly. Unlike some people, the words came out before Alex could stop them. He immediately regretted saying anything that might make Rivera angrier. Rivera's eyes became cold and dangerous. "What did you just say to me?" Alex realized he had crossed a line. "Nothing, sir. I didn't mean anything, but it was too late." Rivera was furious that Alex had challenged him in front of so many witnesses. "Turn around," Rivera ordered. "You're under arrest for disrespecting an officer and making threats." "What threats?" Mrs. Williams protested. "This boy hasn't threatened anyone." Rivera pulled out his handcuffs. "He threatened to use his computer skills against me. That's a cyber threat." Alex could not believe this was happening. Rivera was actually going to arrest him in front of his entire school for basically nothing. Alex's future would be ruined. his college applications, his scholarship chances, his reputation, everything would be destroyed. As Rivera reached for Alex's wrists with the handcuffs, Mrs. Williams stepped between them. "Officer Rivera," she said loudly and clearly, "I am witnessing everything that is happening here. This student has done nothing wrong. If you arrest him, I will file a formal complaint with your department and testify on his behalf." Rivera paused. He looked around at the crowd of students, many of whom were still recording with their phones. He seemed to realize that arresting Alex might cause him more problems than it was worth. "Fine," Rivera said, putting his handcuffs away. "But this isn't over, kid. I'll be watching you even closer now. Next time, you won't be so lucky." Rivera threw Alex's belongings back at him and got in his patrol car. Before driving away, he rolled down his window. "Stay out of trouble, Alex Chen," he called out loudly. "Because when you mess up, and you will mess up, I'll be right there to put you where you belong." Rivera drove away, leaving Alex standing on the sidewalk surrounded by scattered textbooks and homework papers. The crowd of students slowly began to disperse, but Alex could hear them whispering and talking about what they had just witnessed. Mrs. Williams helped Alex gather his belongings. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. Alex nodded, but he was not okay. He was humiliated, angry, and scared. Rivera had turned him into a spectacle in front of his entire school. Students who had never paid attention to Alex before now thought he was some kind of criminal. "This has to stop," Mrs. Williams said quietly. "What Officer Rivera is doing is not right." Alex looked around at his classmates, who were still staring and whispering. Some looked sympathetic, but others seemed to believe Rivera's accusations. Alex's reputation at school might never recover from this. That night, Alex sat in his room thinking about what had happened. Rivera had escalated their conflict to a new level. The police officer was no longer content to just harass Alex during traffic stops. Now he was attacking Alex's education, his relationships, and his future. Alex realized that he could not just wait and hope that Rivera would leave him alone. The officer had made it clear that he planned to continue targeting Alex until he destroyed his life completely. Alex opened his computer and looked at the research he had been gathering about Rivera. The officer's expensive lifestyle that did not match his salary. The pattern of complaints from other young people. The suspicious social media posts about money and gambling. Alex had been trying to fight Rivera the legal way, through courts and complaints. But the legal system had failed him. That night, Alex sat in front of his computer with a cup of coffee and a notebook full of ideas. His mother was at her night cleaning job, so the apartment was quiet. Alex had several hours to work without interruption. He started by making a list of everything he wanted to find out about Officer Rivera. Alex wrote down questions like, where does Rivera get his extra money? Has he done this to other teenagers? Are there any patterns in his behavior that might prove he is corrupt? Alex knew he had to be very careful. He could not hack into any computer systems or break any laws. Everything he did had to be completely legal. But there was a lot of public information available if someone knew where to look. First, Alex searched for Rivera's basic public records. He found Rivera's full name, Marcus Antonio Rivera, and his address. Rivera lived in a nice neighborhood across town, in a house that seemed expensive for a police officer's salary. Alex looked up property records and found that Rivera had bought his house just 6 months ago. The purchase price was $350,000. Alex did some math. Even if Rivera saved every penny of his police salary for several years, he should not have been able to afford such an expensive house. Next, Alex searched for Rivera's social media accounts. Rivera's Facebook page was not private, so Alex could see all his posts. What Alex found there surprised him. Rivera posted photos of himself at expensive restaurants, wearing costly clothes and driving a brand new pickup truck. He also posted pictures from trips to Las Vegas and Atlantic City. In many of the photos, Rivera was holding large amounts of cash or sitting at casino tables. Alex saved screenshots of all these posts and organized them by date. He created a timeline showing Rivera's lifestyle over the past year. The pattern was clear. Rivera was spending much more money than his police salary could support. Alex then researched Rivera's work history. Using public records and LinkedIn, Alex found that Rivera had worked several different jobs before becoming a police officer. He had been a security guard, a bouncer at a nightclub, and a collections agent for a loan company. Rivera had been fired from 2 of these jobs. Alex found old newspaper articles mentioning Rivera. One article was about a fight at the nightclub where Rivera had worked. Another article mentioned that Rivera had been sued by someone who claimed Rivera had used excessive force while working as a collections agent. This information painted a picture of someone with anger management problems and a history of using his authority to intimidate people. Alex was starting to understand that what Rivera was doing to him was part of a larger pattern. Alex decided to search for other complaints against Rivera. He looked up the city's police complaint database, which was available online. What he found made him angry and sad at the same time. There were 7 formal complaints against Rivera in just 3 years. 5 of the complaints were from young people, mostly teenagers or people in their early 20s. All of them described the same kind of harassment that Alex was experiencing. One complaint was from Maria Santos, an 18-year-old college student. She said Rivera had stopped her multiple times for no reason and had made inappropriate comments about her appearance. Another complaint was from David Kim, a 19-year-old who said Rivera had accused him of gang activity just because he was Korean American. The most disturbing complaint was from Jennifer Rodriguez, a 17-year-old who said Rivera had threatened to arrest her unless she gave him information about her older brother. Jennifer claimed Rivera had told her that he could make her family's life very difficult if she did not cooperate. Alex noticed that all of these complaints had been investigated and then dismissed. The police department's response was always the same. Officer Rivera was performing his duties appropriately. No evidence of misconduct was found. But Alex could see the pattern that the police department either could not see or chose to ignore. Rivera was specifically targeting young people, especially minorities. He was using his position as a police officer to intimidate and harass people who were less likely to be believed when they complained. Alex felt sick as he read these complaints. Rivera had been doing this to other people for years. Alex was not the first victim, and if Rivera was not stopped, Alex would not be the last. Alex decided to try to contact some of the people who had filed complaints against Rivera. This was tricky because Alex did not want to seem like he was stalking anyone, but he felt that if these people knew they were not alone, they might be willing to work together. Alex found Maria Santos on social media and sent her a careful message. He explained that he was also being harassed by Rivera and asked if she would be willing to share her experience. Maria responded within an hour. "I'm so glad someone else is speaking up," Maria wrote. "Rivera made my life hell for 6 months. I finally moved to a different city just to get away from him. The police department didn't care at all when I complained." Alex exchanged messages with Maria for over an hour. She told him that Rivera had stopped her at least 15 times, always finding excuses to search her car and question her about where she was going. Rivera had also made comments about her appearance that made her feel unsafe. "He told me that pretty girls like me shouldn't be driving alone at night," Maria wrote. "He said he was protecting me, but it felt more like he was threatening me." Alex asked Maria if she had any evidence of Rivera's harassment. She told him that she had kept a diary of every encounter, just like Alex was doing. She also had several tickets that she believed were unfair. "But what good does evidence do?" Maria asked. "I tried to fight this legally and no one listened to me. Rivera is still out there harassing other people." Alex told Maria about his plan to investigate Rivera more thoroughly. Maria was interested but scared. "Be careful," she warned. "Rivera has friends in the police department. If he finds out you're investigating him, he might do something worse than just giving you tickets." Alex also managed to contact David Kim, who had a similar story. Rivera had accused David of being in a gang because David had several Asian friends who liked to work on cars together. Rivera had harassed David and his friends for months, claiming they were involved in illegal street racing. The worst part, David told Alex, was that Rivera seemed to enjoy it. He would smile when he saw how upset he was making us. It was like a game to him. Alex was starting to understand Rivera's psychology. The officer was not just corrupt, he was a bully who enjoyed using his power to hurt people who could not fight back. Alex spent the next several hours organizing all the information he had gathered. He created a digital file with photos, screenshots, complaint records, and contact information for Rivera's other victims. The evidence was compelling, but Alex knew it was not enough yet. Alex needed to find proof that Rivera was getting money from illegal sources. The expensive lifestyle and gambling habits suggested that Rivera might be taking bribes or involved in some kind of corruption scheme. Alex decided to research Rivera's financial situation more carefully. He looked up Rivera's credit history, which was partially available through public records. What he found was very interesting. Rivera had significant gambling debts. Credit reports showed that he owed money to several casinos and had taken out multiple high-interest loans. This suggested that Rivera's gambling was not just a hobby, it was a serious problem that was causing financial stress. Alex also found records showing that Rivera had recently paid off several large debts very quickly. These payments did not match his police salary schedule, which suggested that Rivera had received large amounts of cash from somewhere else. Alex was getting closer to proving that Rivera was corrupt, but he still needed more evidence. He decided to research Rivera's work schedule and patrol routes. This information was partially available through public records and Freedom of Information requests. Alex discovered that Rivera often worked patrol in areas known for drug activity. This made sense for a police officer, but Alex noticed something strange. Rivera's arrest records showed very few drug-related arrests despite working in high-crime areas. Alex compared Rivera's arrest statistics to other officers who worked similar areas. Rivera made significantly fewer arrests than his colleagues, which was unusual for someone working in active patrol areas. This suggested that Rivera might be deliberately avoiding making certain arrests. Maybe Rivera was being paid to look the other way when specific criminal activities were happening. Alex realized he was uncovering something much bigger than just harassment of teenagers. Rivera might be involved in protecting drug dealers or other criminals in exchange for money. This would explain his expensive lifestyle and gambling habits. As Alex worked late into the night, he felt both excited and scared. He was making real progress in understanding Rivera's corruption. But he was also getting into dangerous territory. If Rivera was really involved with criminals, he might be willing to do serious harm to protect his secrets. Alex saved all his research to an encrypted folder on his computer. He also created backup copies on secure cloud storage. If something happened to Alex, he wanted to make sure the evidence would still exist. Before going to bed, Alex wrote a summary of everything he had discovered. Rivera was targeting innocent young people while potentially protecting real criminals. Alex woke up early on Saturday morning with a plan. His mother was sleeping after working the night shift, so Alex made coffee quietly and settled at his computer. Today he would dig deeper into Rivera's connections and try to find proof of the corruption he suspected. Alex started by researching the areas where Rivera patrolled most often. Using public crime databases and police reports, Alex mapped out Rivera's usual routes and the times he worked. A clear pattern emerged that made Alex very suspicious. Rivera spent a lot of time patrolling near a nightclub called the Blue Moon and several businesses around it. But according to arrest records, Rivera had never made any drug arrests in that area, even though other officers regularly found drugs there. Alex decided to research the Blue Moon nightclub. What he found was very interesting. The club had been cited multiple times for noise violations, serving alcohol to minors, and suspicious activities. But none of these citations had resulted in serious penalties or closure. Alex looked up the owner of the Blue Moon. The club was owned by a man named Vincent Marconi, who had a criminal record including drug trafficking and money laundering charges from 15 years ago. Marconi had served 5 years in prison, but had been released on good behavior. Alex found it strange that someone with Marconi's criminal background was allowed to own a nightclub. Usually, people with serious criminal records were not given liquor licenses or permits to run entertainment businesses. Alex decided to see if there was any connection between Rivera and Marconi. He searched social media, public records, and local newspaper archives. What he found shocked him. Rivera and Marconi appeared together in several photos posted on social media. In one photo from Facebook, they were at a casino together, both holding large stacks of cash. The photo was posted just 2 months ago with the caption, "Big winners tonight." Alex found more photos of Rivera and Marconi together at various locations, restaurants, sporting events, and gambling establishments. These were not the kind of relationships a police officer should have with someone who had a criminal background. Alex also discovered that Rivera had never filed any reports about the Blue Moon. Despite the club being in his patrol area, and having numerous complaints against it. Other officers had written reports about the club, but Rivera's name never appeared on any of them. Alex decided to use a technique he had learned in his computer science class called social engineering. This meant using public information and careful communication to gather more details without breaking any laws. Alex created a fake social media account using a generic name and photo. He started following people who frequented the Blue Moon and began observing their posts and conversations. He was very careful not to interact with anyone or do anything that might be considered illegal surveillance. Through these observations, Alex learned that the Blue Moon was known as a place where people could buy drugs without worrying about police interference. Several people posted comments suggesting that the club was protected and that certain officers would look the other way for the right price. Alex also found evidence that high-stakes gambling happened at the Blue Moon, even though the club was not licensed for gambling. People posted photos of poker games and dice games with large amounts of money on the tables. Alex realized that Rivera was probably being paid to ignore illegal activities at the Blue Moon. This would explain his expensive lifestyle and his lack of arrests in that area, but Alex needed more concrete evidence. He decided to research Rivera's financial records more carefully. Using public databases and creative searching techniques, Alex found some very suspicious patterns. Rivera's bank account showed regular cash deposits that did not match his police salary schedule. These deposits happened every 2 weeks, usually on Fridays, and were always for amounts between $500 and $1,500. Alex cross-referenced these deposit dates with Rivera's work schedule. The deposits always happened on days when Rivera worked the evening shift that covered the Blue Moon's busiest hours. Alex also found that Rivera had recently purchased expensive items that he paid for in cash. A new motorcycle, expensive jewelry, and high-end electronics, all bought with cash rather than credit or checks. Alex documented all of this information carefully. He created a timeline showing Rivera's suspicious financial activity alongside his patrol schedule and his lack of arrests at the Blue Moon. Alex then decided to research Vincent Marconi more thoroughly. He found that Marconi had connections to other businesses in the city that had been suspected of illegal activities. Marconi owned a restaurant that had been investigated for money laundering and a used car lot that was suspected of selling stolen vehicles. Most importantly, Alex discovered that Marconi had been arrested for drug trafficking just 6 months ago, but the charges had been dropped because the arresting officer claimed that the search that found the drugs was conducted improperly. Alex looked up the details of this arrest. The drugs were found during a traffic stop, but the police report was confusing and seemed to contradict itself. Alex suspected that the report might have been written in a way that would make it easy for a judge to dismiss the charges. Alex checked to see which officer had conducted the traffic stop that led to Marconi's arrest. His heart started beating faster when he saw the name on the report, Officer Marcus Rivera. This was the proof Alex had been looking for. Rivera had arrested Marconi but had written the report in a way that ensured the charges would be dropped. This was probably how Rivera proved his loyalty to Marconi and earned his protection payments. Alex spent the rest of the weekend gathering more evidence about this pattern. He found 3 other cases where Rivera had arrested people connected to Marconi's businesses, and in each case, the charges had been dropped due to procedural errors in Rivera's reports. Alex also discovered that Rivera was not working alone. There were 2 other officers who had similar patterns of arrests and dropped charges in the same area. These officers also seemed to have expensive lifestyles that did not match their salaries. Alex realized he had uncovered a corruption ring involving multiple police officers and several businesses. Rivera was not just a single corrupt cop. He was part of a larger criminal organization. This discovery made Alex both excited and terrified. He had found evidence of serious crimes that were making his community less safe. But he had also stumbled into something much more dangerous than he had expected. Alex knew that if Rivera and his partners discovered what he was investigating, they might do more than just harass him. People involved in drug trafficking and police corruption had been known to threaten or even hurt people who got in their way. Alex decided he needed to be even more careful about protecting his evidence and his identity. He moved all his research to encrypted files and created multiple backup copies stored in different secure locations. Alex also started researching how to report police corruption safely. He learned that local police departments often protected corrupt officers, so he needed to contact federal authorities who had the power to investigate police crimes. Alex found that the FBI had a public corruption unit that specialized in investigating crooked police officers. The FBI also had anonymous tip lines and secure ways for people to report crimes without revealing their identities. But Alex knew that anonymous tips were often ignored unless they came with strong evidence. He needed to compile his research into a comprehensive report that would be impossible for authorities to dismiss. Alex spent the next week organizing his evidence into a detailed presentation. He created charts showing Rivera's financial patterns, maps showing his patrol routes and lack of arrests, and timelines connecting Rivera to Marconi and other suspicious individuals. Alex also reached out to more of Rivera's victims. He contacted Jennifer Rodriguez, the teenager who had been threatened about her brother. Jennifer was initially scared to talk, but when Alex showed her the evidence he had gathered, she became more willing to help. "I knew Rivera was dirty," Jennifer said during a phone call, "but I had no idea it was this bad. He's not just harassing kids, he's protecting real criminals." Jennifer told Alex about other people in her neighborhood who had complained about Rivera. She introduced Alex to an older man named Carlos Mendez, whose son had been arrested by Rivera on false charges. Carlos told Alex that Rivera had demanded $5,000 to make the charges go away. When Carlos could not pay, Rivera had made sure his son was sentenced to 6 months in jail for a crime he did not commit. "Rivera destroyed my family," Carlos said with tears in his eyes. "My son lost his job and couldn't finish college because of the false arrest. We've been trying to fight this for 2 years, but no one will listen to us." Alex felt angry and determined as he heard these stories. Rivera was not just taking bribes to ignore crimes. He was actively destroying innocent people's lives to maintain his corrupt system. Alex realized that he was not just fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for Maria, David, Jennifer, Carlos, and countless other people who had been hurt by Rivera's corruption. Alex had gathered enough evidence to prove that Rivera was corrupt, but he knew he needed one more piece of the puzzle. He needed to catch Rivera in the act of taking a bribe or protecting criminal activity. Alex spent 3 days planning the most important operation of his investigation. He needed to create a situation that would force Rivera to reveal his corrupt relationship with Vincent Marconi and the Blue Moon nightclub. The plan had to be careful, legal, and safe. Alex decided to create a fake drug deal that would test whether Rivera was really protecting criminal activity in exchange for money. But Alex would not use real drugs or actually break any laws. Instead, he would use his computer skills to create a realistic scenario that would trick Rivera into revealing his corruption. First, Alex created a fake online identity. He built a social media profile for a fictional person named Tony Martinez, who appeared to be a small-time drug dealer looking to expand his business. Alex used stock photos and created a believable backstory for Tony. Alex then used Tony's fake profile to contact people who frequented the Blue Moon nightclub. He carefully studied how real drug dealers communicated online and copied their language and methods. Alex was very careful to never actually offer to sell drugs or do anything illegal. Through Tony's fake profile, Alex spread rumors that he was planning to start selling drugs near the Blue Moon. Alex made sure these rumors would reach Vincent Marconi and his associates. Alex wanted them to think that someone was trying to compete with their business. Alex knew that if Rivera was really protecting Marconi's territory, Rivera would be contacted about this new threat. According to Alex's research, Rivera's job was to keep other drug dealers away from the Blue Moon area. While spreading these rumors, Alex also set up surveillance equipment around the Blue Moon. Alex borrowed several small cameras from his computer repair shop, telling his boss he needed them for a school project. About local businesses, Alex placed these cameras in public locations where they could record activity around the nightclub without violating anyone's privacy. The cameras were hidden in trees and on light poles, positioned to record who went in and out of the club. Alex also created a secure digital system to monitor communications related to his fake Tony Martinez identity. He set up alerts that would notify him if anyone tried to investigate Tony, or if the rumors about the fake drug dealer were spreading as planned. After a week of preparation, Alex's trap began to work. Through his fake social media monitoring, Alex saw that people at the Blue Moon were talking about the new drug dealer who wanted to work in their area. The conversation suggested that Marconi was not happy about this potential competition. Alex then took the most dangerous step of his plan. Using Tony's fake identity, he sent a message to one of Marconi's associates suggesting a meeting to discuss territory agreements. Alex made sure the message was vague, enough that he was not actually proposing anything illegal. Alex scheduled this fake meeting for a Friday night behind a Thai restaurant near the Blue Moon. He chose this location because it was in Rivera's patrol area and was covered by his hidden cameras. Alex had no intention of actually showing up to the meeting, but he wanted to see if Rivera would respond to protect Marconi's interests. The night of the fake meeting, Alex positioned himself in a safe location several blocks away, where he could monitor his cameras and communications remotely. He used his laptop to watch the camera feeds and track any police activity in the area. At exactly 9:30 p.m., Alex saw Rivera's patrol car arrive at the meeting location. Rivera parked and got out of his car, looking around as if he was searching for someone. Rivera waited for 10 minutes, clearly expecting to meet someone. While Rivera waited, Alex watched a black BMW pull up nearby. Vincent Marconi got out of the BMW and walked over to Rivera. Alex's cameras captured clear footage of the two men talking privately. Alex could not hear their conversation, but their body language suggested they were discussing something important. Marconi appeared to be giving Rivera instructions, and Rivera was nodding and taking notes. After about 5 minutes, Marconi handed Rivera an envelope. Rivera opened it briefly, looked inside, and then put it in his jacket pocket. The exchange was clearly captured on Alex's cameras. Marconi then got back in his BMW and drove away. Rivera returned to his patrol car and began driving around the area, as if he was searching for the fictional Tony Martinez. Alex's trap had worked perfectly. He had captured video evidence of Rivera meeting with a known criminal and accepting what appeared to be a bribe. The timing and location of the meeting proved that Rivera was being paid to protect Marconi's criminal activities, but Alex was not finished yet. He had one more part of his plan to execute. Using his Tony Martinez identity, Alex sent a message to Marconi's associate canceling the meeting and explaining that Tony had decided to work in a different part of the city. Alex wanted to make sure that Marconi and Rivera would think their problem had been solved. Over the next few days, Alex monitored Rivera's behavior to see if there were any changes. What he found confirmed his suspicions about the corruption system. Rivera's patrol reports showed that he spent extra time in the Blue Moon area for the next week, as if he was making sure no new drug dealers moved in. Rivera also made several arrests of people who were not connected to Marconi's organization, probably to show that he was actively fighting crime in the area. Alex also noticed that Rivera made larger than usual cash deposits to his bank account the week after the fake meeting. The timing suggested that Rivera had been paid extra money for dealing with the Tony Martinez threat. Alex now had everything he needed to prove Rivera's corruption. He had financial evidence, witness testimony from Rivera's victims, and video footage of Rivera taking what appeared to be a bribe from a known criminal. Alex spent the next week preparing a comprehensive report for the FBI. He organized all his evidence into a professional presentation that clearly showed the pattern of corruption involving Rivera, Marconi, and possibly other police officers. Alex's report included financial records showing Rivera's unexplained income, video footage of Rivera meeting with Marconi and accepting money, documentation of Rivera's failure to make arrests in Marconi's territory, witness statements from Rivera's harassment, victims' evidence that Rivera had deliberately written flawed police reports to help criminals escape prosecution. Alex also created backup copies of all his evidence and stored them in multiple secure locations. He knew that corrupt police officers had been known to destroy evidence, so he wanted to make sure his work would survive even if his computer was confiscated. Before submitting his report to the FBI, Alex decided to take one final precaution. He created an automated system that would release all his evidence to multiple news organizations and government agencies if something happened to him. Alex set up his computer to send out all the evidence automatically if he did not check in with the system every 48 hours. This way, Even if Rivera discovered what Alex was doing and tried to stop him, the truth would still come out. Alex also wrote a detailed letter explaining his investigation and why he had conducted it. He described how Rivera's harassment had affected his family and his education. He explained how his research had revealed that Rivera was part of a larger criminal organization that was making the community less safe. On a Sunday evening, Alex sat at his computer with his mother beside him. He had decided to tell her about his investigation before submitting his report to the FBI. "Mijo," his mother said, after Alex explained everything, "this is very dangerous. Are you sure this is the right thing to do?" Alex looked at all the evidence he had gathered. He thought about Maria, David, Jennifer, Carlos, and all the other people who had been hurt by Rivera's corruption. "Yes, Mom," Alex said firmly. "Someone has to stop him. If we don't stand up to people like Rivera, they will keep hurting innocent people." His mother hugged him tightly. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. "You're braver than I ever was at your age." That night, Alex uploaded his complete report to the FBI's public corruption tip line. He included all his evidence, his analysis, and his contact information. Alex also sent copies of the report to the local newspaper, the city council, and the state attorney general's office. Alex had set his trap, gathered his evidence, and now he had reported Rivera's crimes to the proper authorities. The quiet teenager who had been bullied for being different had become a skilled investigator who had exposed a dangerous criminal conspiracy. Tomorrow, Alex would find out whether his evidence was strong enough to bring down Officer Marcus Rivera and his corrupt partners. After weeks of careful planning and dangerous investigation, Alex's fight for justice was about to reach its climax. Alex woke up Monday morning feeling nervous and excited. He had submitted his evidence to the FBI the night before, and now he had to wait to see what would happen. Alex went to school as usual, trying to act normal while his heart pounded with anticipation. During lunch, Alex's phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. The message said, "We received your report. Very impressive work. Agent Sarah Chen, FBI Public Corruption Unit. Will contact you soon." Alex felt a rush of relief and excitement. The FBI was taking his report seriously, but Alex also felt scared, knowing that once the investigation began, there would be no turning back. Alex tried to focus on his classes for the rest of the day, but his mind kept wandering to thoughts about what might happen to Rivera. Would the FBI arrest him? Would Rivera figure out that Alex was the one who had exposed him? That evening, Alex was doing homework when his phone rang. The caller ID showed a government number. "Hello, Alec," said a woman's voice. "This is Agent Sarah Chen from the FBI. I wanted to talk to you about the report you submitted." Alex's hand started shaking. "Yes, ma'am." "Your investigation was remarkable," Agent Chen said. "We've been looking into police corruption in your city for months, but we didn't have enough evidence to move forward. Your report gives us exactly what we needed." Alex felt proud but also worried. "What happens now?" "We're going to conduct our own investigation to verify your evidence," Agent Chen explained. "We'll also set up our own surveillance to catch Rivera and his partners in the act. Can you meet with me tomorrow to go over the details?" Alex agreed to meet Agent Chen after school the next day. He spent the rest of the evening reviewing his evidence and preparing for the meeting. The next day dragged by slowly. Alex had trouble concentrating in his classes because he kept thinking about his meeting with the FBI. Finally, the school day ended, and Alex drove to the FBI field office downtown. Agent Chen was a small woman in her 30s with intelligent eyes and a serious expression. She led Alex to a conference room where several other agents were waiting. "Alex," Agent Chen said, "I want you to meet Agent Martinez and Agent Thompson. They'll be working with me on this case." Alex shook hands with the agents, feeling intimidated but also important. Real FBI agents were treating him like a partner in their investigation. "Tell us how you figured all this out," Agent Martinez said, spreading Alex's evidence across the conference table. Alex explained his investigation step by step. He described how Rivera's harassment had motivated him to dig deeper, how he had found financial irregularities, and how he had discovered Rivera's connection to Vincent Marconi. The Q agents were impressed by Alex's thoroughness and his careful attention to legal boundaries. "You did everything right," Agent Thompson said. "You gathered evidence legally, you documented everything properly, and you protected yourself from retaliation. Most adult investigators could learn from your methods. Agent Chen showed Alex additional evidence that the FBI had been gathering independently. They had been watching Marconi for months, suspecting him of drug trafficking and money laundering. But they had not realized that he was paying off police officers. Your evidence about Rivera explains a lot of things that didn't make sense before, Agent Chen said. We couldn't understand why Marconi was so confident that he wouldn't be arrested. Now we know he had protection from inside the police department. The FBI agents asked Alex if he would be willing to help with their ongoing investigation. They wanted Alex to continue monitoring Rivera's activities while they prepared to make arrests. It might be dangerous, Agent Martinez warned. If Rivera suspects that he's being investigated, he might become desperate. Alex thought about all the people Rivera had hurt. He thought about his mother working 2 jobs to pay for Rivera's unfair tickets. He thought about Maria, David, Jennifer, and Carlos, who had all suffered because of Rivera's corruption. I'll help, Alex said firmly. Someone has to stop him. Over the next week, Alex worked closely with the FBI to monitor Rivera's activities. The FBI set up their own surveillance equipment around the Blue Moon and began tracking Rivera's communications. Meanwhile, Alex continued to act normally at school and work. He made sure not to do anything that might make Rivera suspicious. Alex even let Rivera stop him once more during this period, enduring another unfair ticket to maintain his cover. But Alex noticed that Rivera seemed more paranoid than usual during this traffic stop. Rivera searched Alex's car more thoroughly and asked more questions about what Alex was doing and where he was going. You staying out of trouble, kid? Rivera asked with his usual mean smile. Yes, sir, Alex replied politely, even though he was secretly working to destroy Rivera's criminal career. Good, Rivera said, because I'm watching you extra closely these days. I have a feeling you're up to something. Alex's heart pounded, but he kept his expression calm. I'm just going to work, Officer Rivera. Rivera stared at Alex for a long moment as if he was trying to read his mind. Finally, Rivera handed Alex another ticket and let him go. That night, Alex called Agent Chen to report the encounter. I think Rivera might be getting suspicious, Alex said. Don't worry, Agent Chen replied. We're almost ready to move. Just hold on a little longer. 3 days later, Agent Chen called Alex with exciting news. We've got him, she said. Our surveillance caught Rivera taking another bribe from Marconi last night. We also intercepted communications between Rivera and 2 other corrupt officers. We're making arrests tomorrow. Alex felt a mixture of relief, excitement, and nervousness. What should I do? Just go to school normally, Agent Chen said. The arrests will happen during the day while you're in class. By the time you get home, Rivera will be in FBI custody. Alex barely slept that night. He kept imagining what would happen when Rivera was arrested. Would Rivera figure out that Alex was responsible? Would Rivera's criminal partners try to get revenge? The next morning, Alex went to school as usual. He sat through his morning classes, but he couldn't concentrate on anything his teachers were saying. He kept checking his phone, waiting for news about the arrests. At 11:30 a.m., Alex's phone buzzed with a text from Agent Chen. Rivera arrested at 11:15. Marconi and 2 other officers also in custody. You're safe now. Alex felt like he was going to faint from relief. He asked for permission to go to the nurse's office where he sat quietly and tried to process what had happened. By lunchtime, news of the arrests was spreading through the school. Students were talking excitedly about the corrupt police officers who had been caught by the FBI. Alex listened to the conversations with a secret smile, knowing that he had played a major role in bringing Rivera to justice. After school, Alex drove home carefully, still hardly believing that Rivera would never pull him over again. When he arrived at his apartment, his mother was waiting for him with tears in her eyes. Mijo, she said, hugging him tightly. I saw the news. That terrible officer was arrested. I know, Mom, Alex said, holding her close. The FBI agent called me, his mother continued. She told me what you did. I'm so proud of you, but I was so scared for you. Alex's phone rang. It was Agent Chen. Alex, I wanted to call and thank you personally, Agent Chen said. Because of your investigation, we've arrested not just Rivera, but an entire corruption ring. We found evidence that they were protecting drug dealers, gambling operations, and other criminals throughout the city. What will happen to Rivera now? Alex asked. He's been charged with federal corruption crimes, Agent Chen explained. The evidence is so strong that he'll probably spend many years in prison. The other officers in Marconi are facing similar charges. Alex felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Rivera would finally face consequences for all the people he had hurt. There's something else, Agent Chen continued. The local news wants to interview you about your investigation. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but your story might inspire other people to stand up against corruption. Alex thought about all the people who had been afraid to speak up against Rivera. Maybe his story would give them courage to report other corrupt officials. I'll do the interview, Alex said. That evening, Alex appeared on the local news. He told his story simply and honestly, explaining how Rivera's harassment had motivated him to investigate and how he had used his computer skills to uncover the corruption. The news anchor called Alex a teenage hero and praised his courage in fighting back against injustice. The story quickly spread to social media, where Alex's investigation was shared thousands of times. Alex received messages from around the country from other young people who had been harassed by police officers. Many of them said Alex's story had inspired them to speak up about their own experiences. Maria Santos, one of Rivera's other victims, called Alex to thank him. "You did what none of us could do," she said. "You stopped him from hurting anyone else." Alex also heard from David Kim, Jennifer Rodriguez, and Carlos Mendez. All of them expressed gratitude that Rivera would finally face justice for his crimes. But the most meaningful response came from Mrs. Williams, Alex's computer science teacher. "Alex," she said after class the next day, "you've shown that technology can be used to fight for justice and protect innocent people. You're exactly the kind of person the world needs more of." 6 months after Rivera's arrest, Alex sat in a federal courthouse watching the man who had once terrorized him face justice. Rivera looked very different from the confident, intimidating officer who had bullied Alex on that first traffic stop. Now Rivera wore an orange prison uniform and handcuffs, his face pale and defeated. The federal prosecutor stood before the judge and read the charges against Rivera: accepting bribes, conspiracy to distribute drugs, obstruction of justice, and civil rights violations. Each charge carried serious prison time. Alex watched from the gallery as Rivera's lawyer tried to defend him. But the evidence was overwhelming. Alex's investigation had provided the foundation for the FBI's case, and additional evidence had been found during the investigation. The prosecutor showed the court Alex's video footage of Rivera accepting money from Vincent Marconi. She presented financial records showing Rivera's unexplained income. She read testimony from Rivera's victims, including Alex, Maria, David, Jennifer, and Carlos. "Your Honor," the prosecutor said, "Officer Rivera abused his position of trust to protect criminals while harassing innocent citizens. His actions made our community less safe and violated the civil rights of dozens of people." When the judge asked Rivera if he wanted to speak before sentencing, Rivera stood up slowly. He looked toward the gallery where Alex was sitting. "I know what I did was wrong," Rivera said quietly. "I let my financial problems lead me to make terrible choices. I hurt a lot of people, especially young people who deserved better from someone who was supposed to protect them." Rivera paused and looked directly at Alex. "Alex Chen showed more courage and integrity than I ever did. He could have just accepted the harassment and moved on with his life. Instead, he fought back to protect other people from what I was doing to him." The judge sentenced Rivera to 12 years in federal prison. Vincent Marconi received 15 years for drug trafficking and corrupting police officers. The 2 other corrupt officers received sentences of 8 and 10 years. As Alex left the courthouse, Agent Sarah Chen walked beside him. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Good," Alex said simply. Justice was done. But Alex's story was far from over. His investigation had attracted attention from far beyond his local community. 2 weeks after Rivera's sentencing, Alex received a phone call that would change his life. The caller was Dr. Rebecca Martinez, an admissions officer from MIT. "Alex," Dr. Martinez said, "we've been following your story in the news. Your investigation showed remarkable skill in data analysis, digital forensics, and systematic problem solving. These are exactly the qualities we look for in our computer science students." Alex could hardly believe what he was hearing. MIT was calling him. "We would like to offer you a full scholarship to study computer science at MIT," Dr. Martinez continued. "Your investigation demonstrated the kind of innovative thinking and ethical commitment that our program values." Alex was speechless. A full scholarship to MIT meant he could pursue his dreams without worrying about the financial burden on his family. "There's more," Dr. Martinez said. "Several cybersecurity companies have also contacted us about you. They're interested in offering you internships and eventual job opportunities." Alex's mother cried tears of joy when he told her about the MIT scholarship. All those years of working 2 jobs and sacrificing for her son's education had paid off in ways she never could have imagined. "Mijo," she said, hugging him tightly, "you turned something terrible into something beautiful. You didn't let that man destroy your future. You used what happened to build an even better future." Alex's story continued to spread beyond his city. He was invited to speak at conferences about cybersecurity and police accountability. Young people from around the country reached out to him for advice about fighting injustice. Alex also started receiving recognition from organizations that fought for civil rights and police reform. The ACLU gave him an award for youth activism. A national civil rights organization invited him to speak at their annual conference. But perhaps the most meaningful recognition came from his own community. The city council passed a resolution honoring Alex's courage and creating new procedures for investigating police misconduct. They also established a citizen oversight board to prevent future corruption. Mrs. Williams nominated Alex for the school's highest academic honor. During the award ceremony, she spoke about how Alex had used his computer skills to serve justice. "Alex shows us that technology is not just about building apps or making money," Mrs. Williams told the audience. "Technology can be a tool for fighting injustice and protecting people who cannot protect themselves." Alex also worked with the FBI to help other victims of police corruption. His investigation techniques were studied and adapted by federal agents working on similar cases in other cities. Agent Chen invited Alex to present his methods to a conference of federal investigators. Alex stood before a room full of experienced FBI agents and police detectives, explaining how a teenager with a laptop had exposed a corruption ring that law enforcement had been unable to crack. Alex's success came from his combination of technical skills, careful documentation, and most importantly, his refusal to accept injustice, Agent Chen told the conference. "He reminds us that some of the best investigators are people who are personally motivated to find the truth." 6 months later, Alex received another unexpected phone call. This time it was from a major cybersecurity firm in San Francisco. "Alex," the caller said, "we've been following your work since the Rivera case. We'd like to offer you a summer internship working on our digital forensics team. You'd be helping us investigate corporate corruption and cybercrimes." Alex accepted the internship, knowing it would give him valuable experience for his future career. During his summer in San Francisco, Alex worked on cases involving financial fraud, identity theft, and corporate espionage. His supervisors were impressed by Alex's analytical skills and his ethical approach to investigation. They offered him a full-time position after college graduation, with a starting salary that would allow him to support his mother and give back to his community. But Alex had bigger dreams. He wanted to start his own company that would use technology to fight corruption and help victims of injustice. During his junior year at MIT, Alex founded a nonprofit organization called Digital Justice Initiative. The organization taught young people how to use technology legally and ethically to investigate corruption and fight for their rights. Alex's organization helped dozens of young people who were facing harassment, discrimination, or other injustices. They provided training in digital investigation techniques, legal rights education, and support for reporting crimes to proper authorities. One of Alex's first cases involved a teenage girl in Texas who was being harassed by a school administrator. Using techniques similar to what Alex had used against Rivera, the girl was able to gather evidence that led to the administrator's firing and criminal charges. Another case involved a young man in Florida whose family was being threatened by a corrupt city official. Alex's organization helped gather evidence that exposed the official's illegal activities and led to federal charges. Alex also worked with other civil rights organizations to push for legal reforms. He testified before Congress about the need for stronger laws protecting citizens who report police misconduct. Young people today have tools that previous generations never had, Alex told the Congressional Committee. With smartphones, social media, and digital investigation techniques, We can gather evidence and expose corruption in ways that were impossible before. But we need legal protections for people who speak truth to power. Alex graduated from MIT with highest honors and immediately expanded his digital justice initiative into a full-time operation. He hired other young investigators and technologists who shared his commitment to fighting injustice. 5 years after Rivera's arrest, Alex returned to his hometown for a special ceremony. The city was dedicating a new community center focused on youth development and civil rights education. Alex was invited to speak at the dedication ceremony. As he stood at the podium, he looked out at an audience that included many of the people who had supported him during his fight against Rivera. His mother sat in the front row, proud and beaming. Mrs. Williams was there, along with Agent Chen and several of Rivera's other victims who had become Alex's friends and allies. 5 years ago, Alex began, I was just a scared teenager who was being bullied by a corrupt police officer. I felt powerless and alone, but I learned that even young people can fight back against injustice if they're willing to work hard and stand up for what's right. Alex talked about how his experience with Rivera had taught him that corruption thrives when good people stay silent. He encouraged the young people in the audience to speak up when they witnessed injustice. You don't have to be a computer expert to make a difference, Alex said. You just have to care enough about justice to document what you see, report it to the right people, and refuse to give up when the system fails you the first time. After the ceremony, Alex visited his old high school. The computer lab had been renamed the Alex Chen Digital Justice Lab in recognition of his achievements. Alex spent the afternoon teaching students about ethical hacking and digital investigation techniques.